scaling. And just me saying that word was probably the 10th time you've heard it today. It feels like everybody and their mom wants to freaking scale. But what most people don't talk about is how it actually feels once you've scaled. Scaling sustainably isn't just about hitting revenue goals or having a bigger team or creating new offers. It's about the way your business runs when no one's watching. The habits, the systems, the leadership that really allows growth to feel steady without suffocating you. And you already know my story around sustainable scaling. And over the past couple of years, I have worked with business owners who have hit every milestone that they set out for themselves in their business. And they still come to me feeling exhausted, disconnected, and unsure if this is something that they can continue over the rest of their career. And I have watched those same entrepreneurs rebuild in a way that feels peaceful, clear, and deeply profitable. So today, I want to have an honest conversation. And I want to talk about what scaling sustainably actually looks like day to day. The real routines, the real decisions, the real mindset shifts that make sustainable success possible. So let's get into it. Listen, you don't need another podcast teaching you the latest hack or overnight tricks to how to make money. What you need is a business that is actually going to last, one that grows with you, fuels your life, and doesn't burn you out. Insert me. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Built to Last. I'm Mara McDonald. I'm a business growth consultant and an online business sustainability mentor for entrepreneurs who are done chasing quick wins and ready to build something actually sustainable. Each week, I'm going to be sharing strategies, perspective shifts, and leadership lessons that will help you refine or expand your offers, simplify your marketing, and grow a business that's not only profitable, purposeful, but truly built to last. If you're ready to stop building for right now and start building for what's next, then let's dive in. Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Built to Last. And before we really dive into what today's podcast episode is about, let me just take a second and just say thank you for being here. If this is your first episode here, make sure you hit follow, make sure you hit subscribe, and join us every single week as I show you how to build a sustainable business. And if you continue to come back week after week and listen to this podcast, thank you for being one of the real MVPs. Y'all keep me going. My mission in business is really to help people grow a sustainable business that is going to grow with them throughout the test of time, through their offers and through their marketing. You know what it is I stand for. And so this podcast is dedicated to that, talking about sustainability, talking about building that sustainable business, but also talking about offer development, talking about how you can position those offers that way you can sell with ease. So that way you can continue to build a business that is going to withstand the test of time, not something that's just quick and then gone, not something that feels like another MLM, a business that's truly built to last. So today's episode, we're talking about scaling. And me just saying that word probably just made you cringe because that was probably the 10th time you've heard it just today. Scaling is a word that we see thrown around in the business world all the time. And honestly, I need to make a whole podcast episode about what scaling actually is because I'm convinced that people don't actually know what scaling is. They just say they want to scale. But that's not what today's podcast episode is all about. This episode is about talking about what scaling actually looks like. And the truth is that when clients come to me, oftentimes they're saying that they want to scale. And the very first thing I say to them is, okay, how are you currently scaling? And they don't usually have the answer, right? Because they don't know what scaling actually looks like. They're following a version of growth that isn't actually sustainable. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Really taking a second and looking what sustainable scaling actually looks like and ways that you can step into that yourself. So in order to do that, first, let's take a second and really look at the difference between the old way of scaling and the sustainable way of scaling. When most people come to me and say that they're looking to scale, oftentimes they're trying a process that I would consider the old way. More content, more offers, more clients, more team members. They're throwing more at the situation. And that's the version of scaling that's built on hustle, constant visibility, and the belief that you can't slow down or else everything is going to fall apart. And to be honest with you, for a while, that might work. You might see momentum. You might see more revenue milestones. Might see more clients. But let me tell you the truth. Underneath, it's going to start to feel heavy. Okay, it just is. You will get tired. Your team is going to get stretched. The business, what once gave you freedom, is going to start to feel like a full-time job that you can't clock out of. But the sustainable way of scaling, Of course, it's going to require work. Business is going to require hard work, but it's about scaling through alignment and simplicity. It's less about how much you're doing and more about being intentional with it. The sustainable way of scaling looks like refining what you already have and what already works instead of reinventing something every single quarter. It looks like simplifying your product suite so every offer has a clear purpose and place. It's fewer launches, but more strategy. It's less noise, but more consistency. It's plate spinning. Of course, they're going to be spinning, but there's less spinning and there's more impact with every single one. When you're scaling sustainably, your business starts to work with you, not against you. It gives you the kind of growth that doesn't crumble the moment you take a breath or have to step back because your kid has botulism. Too real. If you don't know that story, listen to my other podcast. And that's what I want to talk about today. What it actually looks like day to day when you start to run a business that comes from a place of sustainability instead of survival. So, what does scaling sustainably actually look like? Not on paper, but in real life. I'll be honest with you. It's not fancy, it's not glamorous, and it looks different for every single person. And that's what makes this hard, is it's different for every single person, which is why that customization is so important. And that's what we do in my mastermind. So because I can't really tell you what it looks like for you or for person A or person B or person C, I'm going to talk about me. What sustainable scaling looks like for me. So for me, it looks like slow mornings where I'm cuddling up with my kids. It's where I'm working during nap times. It's that intentional deep work during block times. It's sticking to offers that are going to drive my highest revenue rather than me launching something new every 2 weeks. It's my calendar feeling lighter, but somehow more impactful. Every meeting, every project, every piece of content has a purpose. There's breathing room built in for creativity, for family, and to actually rest. When I look at my week, I can see where the energy actually goes. Because again, you're going to have to work. Scaling sustainably doesn't mean you don't have to work. You're going to have to work. You're going to have to work hard. But it's seeing where that energy goes. And more importantly, where my energy doesn't need to go anymore. For example, my calendar used to look like back-to-back calls during prime business hours, even though I didn't have childcare. I would stick my kids in front of the TV, I would give them Play-Doh, and I'll say, have at it. And I would hop on calls back to back and back. But you know what? That wasn't freedom. That wasn't why I built this business. And that's not what I wanted my business to look like and how I ran it. It was also me jumping from one task to another without any real clear direction and doing what I felt needed to get done, even though it wasn't actually moving that needle forward. Now, it doesn't look like that anymore. It looks more like themed days, more white space on my calendar, as well as refined offers that allow me to give my clients the success that they need in order to scale through deliverables that require less calls, less proximity. And yes, that is possible. That is why I'm so big on offer development. That's why I really have the offer development consulting, because your offers make or break your sustainability. My marketing also feels different. It's not about chasing trends anymore or being everywhere. It's about having one strong message that everything flows from. For me, that's sustainability and creating that sustainability through my offers and through my marketing specifically. Every podcast episode, every post, every email connects back to that foundation, the work I actually want to be known for. And that allows me to show up with that intentionality. That allows me to have a strong message. That allows me to build a brand through the limited hours that I have. And instead of juggling 5 different offers, I focus on the ones that deliver the deepest results, the ones that light me up and serve my clients best. And I focus on the buyer's journey strategies behind that so I can start to rely on client retention and finding new streams of revenue that allows me to really increase my income. Each week now starts with planning, mapping out priorities, checking capacities, and setting realistic goals. My systems, they do the heavy lifting now. My team knows exactly what to do. Communication is lighter, and there's no more energy leak from trying to keep everything in my head. I track progress differently too, not by how much I produce, but how aligned and consistent I feel. If I can end the week knowing I protected my energy, I shown up with clarity, and I moved something meaningful forward, that's success to me. That is what sustainable scaling looks like to me. And for my clients, again, I can't speak for everybody because it's something different for every single person. But often what I find is that they feel like sustainable scaling is finally having space again to think, to lead, to create instead of constantly reacting. They say things to me like, I actually know what to do every week now. Or my business that's finally feeling calm. I feel like a CEO again. And that's the real shift when your business starts working with you instead of against you. And you know what's funny? We're having a conversation in the mastermind literally right now about how, well, not literally right now because I'm recording this podcast episode, but I'm talking about like last week about how when so many people started the program, they were constantly on calls, they were constantly in Slack, they're reaching out with questions, etc. And now they find themselves doing less. Not because they don't value the community and continue to see value. Trust me, they do. We just had somebody sign up for their third year in the mastermind, but because they become more sustainable so they can do things outside of business. So they're not relying on Slack as much. They're not relying on our mastermind calls as much because they have more space to pour back into them. So let's be honest, scaling sustainably isn't always easy, right? It requires a lot of unlearning, a lot of what we've been taught and about growth. It means redefining that. It means redefining success, not by how busy you are, but how aligned you are. It's a whole bunch of unlearning. It means slowing down long enough to actually see what's working instead of reacting to every new idea or opportunity, aka shiny object syndrome. I struggle with that, by the way. And at first, that can feel uncomfortable. There's this moment in the process where your brain is going to say, if I'm not doing as much, am I still growing? Okay, that's typical. And the answer is yes, you're just growing differently. Again, let's talk about one of my mastermind clients. One of my mastermind clients actually experienced this firsthand. She came to me with 5 different offers. Her team was stretched thin and she was exhausted, absolutely exhausted. And the business was starting to feel a little bit chaotic, but she knew she wanted to continue to grow. She knew she wanted to continue to increase her revenue stream. She knew she wanted to continue to do things in her business. So what do we do? Together, we really simplified down all of her offers to 2 core offers, the ones that created the biggest results and the most sustainability. And I promise you, within a few months, not only has she stabilized her revenue, increased her energy, but she also started to see new leads coming in constantly with more white space on her calendar. She started showing up with more clarity. Her marketing felt easier, and her team finally started to have the space to breathe. And that's the thing about sustainable scaling. It doesn't mean less money, it means better money, more consistency, more margin, more intentionality, and most importantly, more peace. Because scaling sustainably isn't just about building a bigger business, it's about building one that can actually hold the life you want to live. And this exactly is what we do inside Scale Sustainably Mastermind. If you're ready to grow without burning out, this is where we turn that into reality. We'll refine your offers, we'll simplify your marketing, and we'll build systems that support your life, not take over it. Come sit in, completely and totally free, no strings attached. Come sit in to the mastermind. And not only can you see the vibes of the community, but you can learn a little bit about how you can really scale your business for sustainability. I'm going to attach the link so you can sign up for a free sit-in in the show notes. Make sure you check it out. Until next time, you got this. I'm proud of you. I love you. McDonald out.